It's 1968. I'm sitting in Marcus Weissman's house. I just brought this record over from Sam Goody. I got it for 99 cents. And it's changing my life. Marcus would rather be trying to figure out the backmasking on Beatles' White Album. He's looking at me with a very strange look on his face, like I'm completely out of my mind. It's at this moment that I know this is the music for me. Maurizio Kagel, their Schall. I'm going to be playing you some music that changed my life for the past 20 years or so. For the next hour, I'll try to squeeze as much of it as I can in. I'm John Zorn. Let's listen to Napalm Death.
This
So that was Blood Ulmer from the Black Rock record a while back. I guess it was 83 or something like that, 82. He was rolling for a while, and then Columbia dropped him like a hot potato as soon as he made a couple good records. That's usually what happens. Napalm Death is one of those bands that, they used to call these records lease breakers. That meant that if you wanted to move out of your apartment, you just put this record on really loud and they kick you out within the next 30 minutes. Napalm's one of my favorite bands. That track included 3 songs: The Kill, Prison Without Walls, and Dead Part 1. The original lineup has changed now. It's not the same guitarist, it's not the same vocalist. Lee Dorian and Bill Steer, vocals and guitar, now have gone on to bigger and better things, you might say. Napalm has a different lineup. I saw the last concert they did with the original lineup in Japan, and it kicked butt. This is one of the purest bands I have ever heard in my life. If you're interested in purity, listen to Napalm Death. Pure insanity, that is. Blood Ulmer, this record was on my turntable for about, 6 months. This totally took my head off. And now what is Blood doing? He's playing the Knitting Factory. That's life for you. Well, Columbia Records. Sometimes I think they print these records like with little dotted lines in the corner where you clip for cutout. Cut here, instant cutout. Enough of that. Let's go to a real lunatic. Let's listen to some Hazel Adkins. How about it? We Got a Date.
Hello, baby. We got a date. I got a date to get your head out. Baby, now don't you be afraid. I'm gonna get your head off about a headbed. Tell you I'm gonna hold you with my great big fingers. And I'm gonna get your head off about a headband. But now, baby, don't you be late, 'cause you know that we got a date. Yeah. I know you be late.
So what kind of music was that exactly, is the question. When Bo Diddley came out, I didn't know what the he was doing either, to tell you the truth. To me, all the great musicians are kind of mixing things together in their own personal way and come out with something that transcends all genres or transcends a particular genre that they try to work in. Napalm is a great example of a band that transcends its own genre. They created something that's beyond metal, beyond hardcore. It exists in the stratosphere. You know, it's heavenly music. Same thing with Roland Kirk, what we just heard. Roland Kirk, a great jazz saxophone player, made this solo record, Natural Black Inventions Root Strata, back in 1971, it says. 71. Incredible record. God knows what kind of music it is. And that's what makes it great. Before that, Esquivel. Esquivel is a genius arranger, and I'm really into arranging. I've done a lot of arranging stuff. The use of the orchestra, how you mix it with new instruments, electric instruments versus acoustic. Esquivel was a master of this in the 50s, mixing, you hear slide guitar, Hawaiian guitar. At that time, new electronic instruments were like the theremin and, the Univox organ. I mean, really primitive stuff. He mixed that in with the orchestra and created a beautiful pop mutation. Doesn't really exist anymore. And we started with Hazel Adkins, the most spine-chilling cry that ever froze the blood. We Got a Date, the one-man band. The next thing I was planning to play was this JCOA set with Cecil Taylor, Don Cherry, Roswell Rudd. In growing up in the 60s, I pretty much listened to what other people listened to. The Doors, the Beach Boys, the Beatles. I also listened to a lot of classical stuff. And I played in a surf band. I listened to movie soundtracks. And it wasn't until I was about 20 years old that I really first got into jazz seriously. And the thing that really blew my mind, because I was into classical composition at the time, was this set by the Jazz Composers Orchestra. And why? Because the music is notated like classical music in a certain sense. Like, it has a very interesting structural integrity. At the same time, it's got someone like Pharoah Sanders blowing his guts out. Let's hear this. That last track was Naked City from the second album that we're working on now, Torture Garden. The track was called Blunt Instrument, and hopefully that tied a few things together. Before it, we heard one of my favorite bands, Die Kreuzen, doing a track called Sick People. Before that, we heard Hüsker Do from the 1982 recording Bricklayer. That was a piece that took my head off when I heard it back then. And we started out with Pharoah Sanders blowing his nose through the saxophone. Jazz Composers Orchestra. Sanders, maybe more than any other saxophone player, really. Pharoah Sanders is one of my main influences on the saxophone, just in terms of sound. He was doing more sound on the saxophone at a time when people were trying to emulate Coltrane. I guess Eiler was another one who really did it too. Early, mid-60s. So yeah, some jazz and some thrash and some... What's next? a lot of people are kind of confused about what Naked City is trying to do, and a lot of critics have written about it from a completely erroneous point of view. That's my nice way of saying they're all full of shit, which I believe. Basically, we're just trying to put some music together, you know what I mean? People are making into this big sociological statement. People, I think, in our age group, mid-30s, late 20s to 30s right now, grew up with more different kinds of music, and that's reflected in the music that they make. Musicians and composers are influenced by what they hear and what they see, and it comes out in their music in different ways. Born in the 50s and growing up through the 60s, I grew up and spent my, grammar school days listening to soul, listening to classical music, listening to surf, listening to all this different shit. And the result is something like Naked City. We're doing it with as much love as we possibly can, and critics who usually walk around with padlocks on their ears think that we're doing some kind of ironic parody of, one thing or another. When I do covers and arrangements of other music, they think that I'm trying to make some joke out of it. That's not true at all. When we cover a Beach Boys song, it's because I think Brian Wilson is one of the great geniuses of the 20th century. Period. Stop. When I announce that in concert, everybody laughs like it's some kind of a joke. If I mentioned Ted Nugent, they'd be going, "Well, yeah, man, give me a break." So Brian Wilson, and I don't know, who else did we cover on the Naked City record? Well, Morricone, John Barry, Mancini, soundtrack composers. And for me, soundtrack music is a music that also draws upon a lot of different influences and exists in a very special world because of that. The composers who work in that genre have to be familiar with all the new techniques of recording. They have to be familiar with rock, with jazz, with classical, with country, with anything that's going to be appropriate for the film that they score. So it's a new kind of mixed music. The way rock is a kind of mixed music. A lot of the musics that were born in this century are really strange mixes of things. The idea of music being some kind of pure statement of one ethnic group or another ethnic group. I can't think about that. To me, everything's all mixed up in the world, and people are putting things together in their own ways. Here's a perfect example of that. What a great segue. This is the fabulous notes and beats of the Indian Carnatic Jazz by T.K. Ramamoorthy. Let's hear... There's a great track on here with a conch shell solo. Let's hear Kanakangi on side 2. This record is Indian fusion, like jazz fusion, but this is from their point of view. When we do it, we have like some sleazy drummer, and then you got some fusion guitar player, and there's a sitar on there, playing a million notes a minute, and it's boring bullshit. This is the Indian version of what jazz fusion is supposed to sound like. Let's check it out. That was Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys, one of the genius records of all time. Still sounds great, even though the vinyl's scratched up a little bit. Sorry about that. Before that, we heard Funkadelic from the Maggot Brain album, 1970, 71, George Clinton. And before that, we heard the fabulous notes and beats of the Indian Carnatic Jazz, musical direction T.K. Ramamoorthy. Incredible conch solo there. Almost got 3 notes out of the thing. It really kills me every time I hear that. The thing about the 60s for me, like with the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds record, that's about trying to find a new approach, using new sounds, new instruments. The same thing with that Indian Carnatic Jazz record, although it may sound fairly primitive. It's actually a pretty interesting and advanced mix of instrumentation with their particular traditional instruments, the mrindangam and the ghatam and the tabla, and everything's on there, veena and sitar, mixed with a saxophone, bass, clarinet, piano, flute, trumpet. Brian Wilson did it his way. And then Morricone did it his way. One of the things that gasses me about Morricone is his instrumentation, the way he mixed electric guitar with orchestra, the way he used the voice. Let's hear something from Morricone himself from the Once Upon a Time in the West record. And then let's hear, this is a world premiere. I was asked by Camel Cigarettes in East Asia, like Thailand and Singapore. They asked me to do a version of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly for their Camel cigarette commercials. And then I came up with this thing with Anton Fear and Bobby Quine and Ardo Lindsay and David Weinstein, and I can't remember who else was on here. We did a 1-minute version for their commercials, and I never heard from them again after I sent them the tape. But I did get paid, thank you. So let's hear a couple Morricone pieces. That was the title theme of a film, unfortunately titled White and Lazy by Rob Schweber. Something I did, I guess, about 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. A great band, Anton Fear, Melvin Gibbs, Ardo Lindsay, Robert Quine, and David Weinstein put that down with me. Before that, we heard my version of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and before that, Morricone's original version of Man with a Harmonica from Once Upon a Time in the West. Yeah. This next track is by Lenny Tristano, one of the great Svengalis in the jazz music world. A real nut and a great genius. And this particular track turned Mr. Herbie Hancock around. Completely changed his style of playing when he worked with the Miles Davis Quintet. It's something that I listen to again and again and again and again and again and again. You can never get tired of this piece. It's called Line Up. That was Lenny Tristano's Line Up. Sounds like his fingers are made out of sledgehammers. I love that piece. I wish I could stay and play, a couple more hours of stuff from my collection, because this really doesn't do it. I'm very unsatisfied. I'm going to have to come back here next week and play you a bunch more stuff. But I probably won't. So I'll just say goodbye. This last piece is from Naked City. It's a new album we're working on now. This piece is called Gob of Spit. I'm told Mick Harris from Napalm Death listens to this every morning. Hope you enjoy it. This has been John Zorn. I'll see you later.